Hey guys, it's Valiant. Today we're going to be going over the Pulverize Druid. This is what I use to level. I'm going to show you a variation of the build that works really well. So in this Pulverize build, we're going to focus on our resource and our damage. We're going to make Pulverize do as much damage as possible and be spammable. We're already going to be tanky. Werebear builds are tanky already, but we'll add on to that as well. For our abilities, we're going to use Trample. We mainly use this for movement, and it restores 40 of our spirit. It also stuns if you knock back enemies into terrain, which sets up Pulverize to do more damage. Our next ability is Poison Creeper. This is really useful on elite packs. We get 20% critical strike chance on them and the immobilize damage for Pulverize. Be aware that Poison Creeper will pull you out of bear form briefly, so don't be surrounded when you use it. Up next is Earthen Bulwark. At the time of the video, I was using the Shrapnel. Later on, I switched to the ability that fortifies you. This is going to be our second unstoppable ability, along with Grizzly Rage, obviously. Grizzly Rage is kind of a must if you're going Werebear. Gives you unstoppable for 6 seconds. You gain the hill over time, 8% of your base life. Increases your damage and your damage reduction. For our basic ability, we're using Earth Spike, and it gives us Fortify. And finally, our core ability, Pulverize. This is what the whole build is built around. And our modifiers are Overpower, and enemies overpowered by Pulverize are stunned for 2 seconds. There are 2 uniques in this build. They are not required, but once you do get them, you're going to feel the difference. The first one is Vasili's Prayer. Your skills are now also Werebear skills and fortify you. And the second one is Insatiable Fury. This gives you physical damage, overpower damage, damage reduction while fortified, and total armor while in Werebear form. It also gives you +3 to Werebear skills. For the gloves, we are going to be using the Earth Sign Horror aspect. Pulverize is now Earth skill. After casting Pulverize, Tectonic Spikes continue to deal damage over time. Mainly need this for Pulverize to be an Earth skill, so we can buff it through the Paragon Board and skill tree. The stats that we are going to prioritize is plus ranks to Pulverize, attack speed, critical strike chance, and either overpower damage or critical strike damage to Earth skills. For the legs, I'm using Mending Stone. This increases the duration of your Earthen Bulwark by 6 seconds, and killing enemies with Earth skills replenish the barrier. Later on, you will be switching this out for Disobedience, the armor stacking aspect, but I believe this is superior for leveling. We are going to be looking for defensive stats for the legs, damage reduction, total armor while in Werebear, maximum life. The aspect on the boots would be Quicksand. Your Earth skills will now slow. This will add to your overall damage as it is a crowd control effect. For the stats, we're going to be looking for movement speed, dodge chance, spirit cost reduction, and willpower. For our two-hander, we're going to be using a mace for overpower damage because we have 2 buffs from our skill tree and our boon that give us guaranteed overpower. The stats that we are going to be looking for are vulnerable damage, critical strike damage, or skill damage, and maximum willpower. Willpower is better than having overpower here because it increases 3-year stats. It is your main attribute as a druid. It increases your skill damage, your overpower damage, and healing received. And the aspect we are going to be using is Shockwave. This increases our pulverized damage by 200% and increases the range as well. For our amulet, the aspect we are going to be getting is Retaliation. Earth skills will deal up to 60% more critical strike damage to crowd controlled enemies. And with this build, we will always be applying crowd control effects. We're going to prioritize movement speed, +3 ranks to Stone Guard or Crushing Earth. Next, we're going to be looking for total armor while in Werebear and damage reduction from close enemies. For our rings, we are going to be looking for the Umbral and Crash Stone aspects. I'm not focusing on increasing the duration of Grizzly Rage like most builds, so I want Pulverize to be spammable. The more uptime we have, the more damage we do, and it's more constant, especially with the key passive that we are taking. And the stats that we are going to prioritize are vulnerable damage, critical strike damage, critical strike chance, lucky hit chance. You could also be looking for maximum life or anything else you see fit. For our hearts, we're going to use the Caged Heart of Revenge. Mainly for the damage reduction, it's 10% to 20%. Then we're going to use the Caged Heart of Picana. Critical strikes electrically charge the enemy for 3 seconds, causing lightning to arc between them and any other charged enemies. And for further resource management, we're going to use the Caged Heart of the Dark Dance. Every 5 seconds while above 60% life, core skills cost life instead of your primary resource. I tested out multiple other hearts. The only other 2 that really worked for Pulverize were Heart of Determination and Tempting Fate. That's a resource draining heart and the critical strike heart. The Barber heart really doesn't work when you're leveling up. It's good for boss fights, but when you're one-shotting everything, there's no reason to keep it up for 2 to 4 seconds and immune. Just gives it more time to attack you. If you wanted to, you could have a Barber heart swap for boss fights only. For our spirit boons, we're going to be taking Wariness. You take 10% reduced damage from elites. There's not really another good option to pick out of. Next, we're going to be taking Swooping Attacks just to cast Pulverize faster. You could also take Avian Wrath for critical strike damage, or Scythe Talons for 5% increased critical strike chance. The next boon we're going to be taking is Energize. Lucky Hit, dealing damage, has up to a 15% chance to restore 10 spirit, but you can switch to Calamity if you are not having resource problems. And we're going to be taking Obsidian Slam. Every 20th kill will cause your next Earth skills to overpower. This is one source of our guaranteed overpowers. And Masochistic. Critical strikes with shape-shifting skills have up to a 75% chance to heal you for 3% of your maximum life. We're going to be stacking this with Circle of Life for additional healing in the skill tree. And in this skill tree, our basic skill is going to be Earth Spike. And we're going to be taking Enhanced Earth Spike and Fierce Earth Spike. This will help you build Fortify. For our core skills, we are going to be taking 1 point in Heart of the Wild and 3 points into Wild Impulses. Next, we're going to be putting 5 points into Pulverize. This is our main ability. 1 point in Enhanced Pulverize and 1 point in Raging Pulverize. We're then going to put 3 points in Predatory Instinct and 3 points into Iron Fur. For our defensive skills, we're going to be putting 1 point in Earthen Bulwark, Enhanced, and Preserving Earthen Bulwark. This helps retain your Fortify. We're going to put 1 point in Ancestral Fortitude and then 3 points into Vigilance. Then in the companion skills, we are going to be putting 1 point into Poison Creeper, 1 point in Enhanced Poison Creeper, and 1 point into Brutal Poison Creeper. This helps us with elite packs, 3 points into Nature's Reach. And then in the Wrath skills, we are going to be putting 1 point into Mending, 1 point into Provocation, and then 3 points into Crushing Earth, 3 points into Stone Guard, and 2 points into Safeguard. 1 point into Trample, Enhanced Trample, and Savage Trample. This allows us to gain 40 Spirit on a short cooldown. For our ultimate skills, we're going to be putting 1 point into Defiance, and 3 points into Natural Disaster, 3 points into Circle of Life. Next, we are going to be putting 1 point into Grizzly Rage, Prime Grizzly Rage, and Supreme Grizzly Rage. 1 point into Defensive Posture. And for our key passive, we are going to be taking Ursine Strength. This gives us 20% additional maximum life, and while healthy, you deal 30% increased damage. This is why I dropped the Grizzly Rage aspect, because this is a permanent buff. Here's going to be some short gameplay, and even if you are going up against mobs 10 plus levels above you, you'll still be one-shotting them most of the time. If not, luckily our Pulverize is spammable. We'll just be clearing the screen with these. For our Paragon, we are going to be going up and to the right. We're going to take the Prime node for more damage and maximum life. Our first glyph is going to be Exploit. This is the biggest damage buff in the beginning for most Druid builds, especially for Earth builds, because they don't have a way to apply vulnerable damage. Next, we're going to go up to the left, take Impel for 20% more damage. The first board after the starting board is going to be the Ancestral Guidance board, and we are going to be taking the Legendary node and all the Spirit on kill. This helps our sustainability, especially in the early levels when we need it the most. Then we're going to work our way up and get all the core skill damage in the top of the tree, and then the glyph is going to be Fang and Claw. This will give us more core skill damage. And then the next board is going to be the Survival Instincts board. My character wasn't leveled enough to show the full Paragon tree, but I will be providing a link for a full endgame build layout. And this build is really strong early on, and the more you invest into it, the better it gets. It is even capable of doing high tier nightmare dungeons. Overall, the pure Pulverize build is easy to obtain. The aspect that you'll have the most trouble with is the shockwave aspect, but the best way to get that is to gamble idols. It has the highest chance of giving you that aspect. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate any feedback. Any questions can be answered in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time.